In this video, I'm going to outline some realistic strength standards for each category of training experience, from noob all the way up to freak, so that you can set some more realistic strength goals for yourself. I'll also be giving you some tips at each level for how to set up your training to get to the next level up. Now, before we jump into the noob level, I need to explain a few limitations of strength standards in general. First, it's important to realize that just like any physical trait, there are huge genetic differences when it comes to strength. Your skeleton itself, or what we call leverages, is a big factor here. For example, someone like myself who has short arms and a big rib cage will most likely perform better on the bench press compared to someone with longer arms and a shallow rib cage. But then having short arms is actually a disadvantage for me on the deadlift because my hips have to start lower in order for me to reach the bar. Then on the squat, having short femur bones is typically an advantage. However, any deficit in the leverage department can be overcome by other factors like good programming and modifying technique. For example, Dr. Layne Norton was able to set a world record on the squat despite having some of the longest femurs in the game. But there's a lot more to strength than just leverages. Some people have more resilient tendons, higher neural drive, and even though muscle size is modifiable with training, some people start out carrying more muscle than others. So keep in mind that someone with outstanding genetics might be able to hit the advanced tier within their first couple years of training, whereas someone with below average genetics might take 5 to 10 years to get there. Still, I did my best to set up the levels according to average abilities based on my decade plus of coaching experience, data from competitive powerlifting events, and existing strength scales like those from Mark Rippetoe and Tim Henriquez. Alright, 3 quick disclaimers about my strength standards. First, they assume constant technique, so you shouldn't be cutting your squat depth shorter just to move up a level, and you need to be briefly pausing the bar on your chest for the bench press to count. Second, because my standards are based on body weight ratios, they start to break down at very high body weights. So they mainly apply to natural, reasonably lean lifters, so under 20 to 25% body fat as a male, and under 30 to 35% as a female. If you're over 250 pounds or 113 kilos, the numbers will skew against you a bit. So in that case, if you're natural, and whether you weigh 250, 300, or 350 pounds, simply input your weight as 250 pounds to get an idea of where you land. Third, these strength standards are for a 1 rep max. This doesn't mean you need to test your 1 rep max all the time, especially if you don't have competitive strength goals, but it's still smart to have some idea of where your strength is to monitor progression. So if you want to get a rough estimate, you can plug a recent tough set that you took close to failure below 5 reps or so into the EXRX 1 rep max calculator, which I'll link down below, and it'll spit out a 1 rep max estimate. It's not 100% accurate because lifting for a 1 rep max is a separate skill, but it'll get you in the right ballpark. Also, for context, I'm going to be putting my current numbers next to each level as we go through, just for comparison. So as of right now, I have about a 480 pound or 218 kilo squat, a 380 pound or 172 kilo bench, and a 530 pound or 240 kilo deadlift at 180 pounds or 81 kilos body weight. So that translates to a 2.6 times body weight squat, a 2.1 times body weight bench, and a 2.9 times body weight deadlift. Those ratios have been higher for me at a lower body weight, but I'm nearing the end of a bulk now, so I'll just go with my current lifts and my current weight rather than stack my numbers with all-time bests. Alright, so let's get started with the noob category, so your first 3 to 6 months of lifting. Most newbie men should be able to squat and deadlift something between the empty bar and 135 pounds, so 1 plate per side, and 45 to 95 pounds for the bench press. Now, the deadlift is a bit of a curveball because some people will be able to pull 225 or 2 plates per side their first day in the gym, but typically getting a plate on the bar is a sign that you're getting out of the noob category and into the beginner category. For women, the numbers tend to look a bit more like this, and you should be able to easily progress to the beginner level by just working on your technique while incrementally adding a minimum amount of weight to the bar each and every workout, generally in the 3 to 6 rep zone for strength work. Alright, so once you've been training seriously for 6 months to 2 years, you're most likely in the beginner category, and as a male, you should be able to put up a 1.25 times body weight squat, a 1 times body weight bench, and a 1.5 times body weight deadlift. So if you're a 180 pound man, you should be able to squat 225, bench 185, and deadlift 275 within your first few years of lifting. And these would be the comparable body weight figures for a female, and here are the relevant lifts for a 140 pound female example. Now, in the beginner stage, you should have acceptable technique on all the lifts, probably not mastered yet, but they should look pretty consistent from rep to rep, although it definitely is normal at this stage to still struggle staying locked in as you get close to your max. Throughout this level, you should still be able to make progress from workout to workout in a linear fashion. Now, occasionally you'll have days where you feel weaker and you won't be able to PR, but most people should be setting new PRs nearly every workout, still just adding minimum increments of 5 pounds to the bar or 1 extra rep in that same 3 to 6 rep range. As a beginner, I think it's perfectly fine to keep training fun by switching things up on the accessory bodybuilding exercises, but you should have a few core exercises like the squat, bench, and deadlift where you're just steadily adding weight from week to week without switching things up at all. However, at some point, usually around the 1 to 2 year mark, most people will start noticing their strength gains slowing down. Still progressing, just noticeably more slowly, and you can no longer PR each and every session, at least not without compromising technique or recovery. And this is usually a sign that you're getting into that intermediate territory, and it may be time to update your approach a bit. And before we hop into the intermediate to advanced stuff, I want to quickly let you guys know that the second phase of my intermediate to advanced power building system is now available over on jeffnippard.com. So if you're an intermediate to advanced level lifter, you can check out that first link in the description box down below, and I'll have a little more info about that program at the end of the video. Alright, so once you've been in the gym consistently for 2 years or so, you should find yourself in the intermediate category. This is where many people hit their first plateau, and a lot of people actually end up getting stuck here indefinitely, giving rise to the so-called lifetime intermediate, someone who just keeps spinning their wheels in the gym, never really getting beyond this level. But assuming you've committed to a progressive strength plan, you should be able to get to a 1.25 to 1.75 times body weight squat, a 1 to 1.5 times body weight bench, and a 1.5 to 2.25 times body weight deadlift within 2 to 5 years of training. So if you're 180 pounds, that'd be a 225 to 315 pound squat, a 185 to 275 pound bench, and a 275 to 405 pound deadlift. And then these would be the comparable body weight figures and example lifts for a 140 pound female. And the key to getting out of the intermediate stage and into the advanced stage is to take a less linear approach to your training. Rather than hitting the same 3 to 6 reps with linear load increases every workout, I'd recommend focusing on slightly different adaptations throughout the week. So for example, on the squat, you could have one heavy day where you hit something like 3 to 5 reps at a pretty high exertion, and one light day where you either do hypertrophy work in the 6 to 10 rep zone or speed/technique work for 2 to 4 reps, but at a lower exertion. This would be a form of daily undulating periodization, or DUP, where the rep ranges undulate or vary on different days throughout the week. And of course, your lifts still need to be moving up on average, but the actual progression curve will be both less steep and less linear. Okay, so sometime around the 5-year mark, most committed people with a focused plan will move out of the intermediate stage and into the advanced stage. Here we're looking at a 1.75 to 2.5 times body weight squat, a 1.5 to 2 times body weight bench, and a 2.25 to 3 times body weight deadlift. So for a 180 pound male, that would be a 315 to 455 pound squat, a 275 to 365 pound bench, and a 405 to 545 pound deadlift. So you can see that my squat and bench would still be above the advanced category, but my deadlift, the lift I struggle with the most, would fall into the advanced stage. And again, these would be the comparable body weight figures and example lifts for a 140 pound female. Alright, so moving from the advanced level to the elite level is kind of tricky because I don't think it's necessarily possible for every person. I do think that with an optimal blend of intelligent coaching and strong discipline, a lot more people can get there than many realize, but it may require a level of sacrifice in the gym that a lot of people just wouldn't be willing to make for those extra gains. Regardless, this is the point where you'll need to become much more methodical with your programming and likely have to run specialization phases where you narrow in on one lift while putting the others at maintenance. For example, my friend Alex from the channel Alpha Destiny recently had a 405 pound bench press, but in order to get there, he had to focus so much of his training and recovery on the bench press that the other lifts had to be put down to maintenance for recovery purposes. At this point, you'll also likely need to get very intentional about addressing your specific weak points in the different lifts. So if you consistently struggle with locking out your deadlift, advanced strategies like chains, hip thrusts, and block pulls could help correct that. Muscle size can also become a limiting factor, so once you've got the technique aspects down, you may simply need to take several months or even a year dedicated to hypertrophy style training in moderate to high rep ranges while in a caloric surplus to build more muscle mass and keep driving that strength up. The bottom line is that no one gets to the elite level by accident. It takes a blend of intelligent planning, consistency, and dedication in the gym. Okay, so usually sometime around the 5 to 10 year mark, people can begin to move into the elite category, assuming they've done the right stuff up to this point. And again, it is possible to get there a bit sooner with the right genetics. And here we're looking at a 2.5 to 3 times body weight squat, a 2 to 2.25 times body weight bench, and a 3 to 3.5 times body weight deadlift. And so with a 2.6 times body weight squat and a 2.1 times body weight bench, I find myself toward the lower boundary of the elite category at the moment for those lifts. And so for our 180 pound male example, this would mean a 455 to 545 pound squat, a 365 to 405 pound bench, and a 545 to 630 pound deadlift. And these would be the elite figures and lifts for a 140 pound female. And I do think that these are the highest numbers that a lot of natural lifters should realistically be able to strive for, assuming maximum strength is the goal. Not everyone will be able to get here, but I do think that with the right combination of time, programming, and dedication, a lot of people can be elite for at least one or two of the lifts. However, in order to get to the freak category,
you need some monster genetics.
So here we're looking at something north of a 3 times body weight squat, 2.25 times body weight bench, and 3.5 times body weight deadlift as a male. So a great example here would be Taylor Atwood.
Oh no! Look at that smile!
Taylor competes in the 163 pound or 74 kilo weight class as a drug-tested raw lifter and puts up some unfathomable numbers. This is him just a few months ago smoking the all-time American record with a smooth 668 pound or 303 kilogram squat. Again, at 163 pounds body weight. That's a 4 times body weight squat, almost unheard of on planet Earth. And here he is hitting a relatively easy 430 pound or 195 kilo bench press, so a monstrous 2.6 times body weight bench. And then at the same meet, here's another American record of, get this, 750 pounds at 163 pounds body weight. That's fully 200 pounds above my all-time deadlift PR at the same body weight, which gives him a 4.6 times body weight deadlift. Taylor almost needs his own category beyond the freak level, honestly. Absolutely mind-boggling. All right, and for a freak female lifter, we're looking at a 2.25 times body weight squat, 1.25 times body weight bench, and a 3 times body weight deadlift. As an example here, let's look at Canadian drug-tested raw powerlifter Jessica Bittner, who just set a bunch of world records in the 167 pound or 76 kilo weight class last month. So here's our new world record 464 pound or 210.5 kilo squat, which at 167 pounds gives her an insane 2.77 times body weight squat, which got her a gold medal on that lift. She also bench pressed 231 pounds or 105 kilos at the same meet, good for a bronze medal and a 1.4 times body weight bench press. And then this is her unbelievable 546 pound or 247.5 kilo deadlift, which was good for another gold medal and another all-time world record at just over 3.25 times body weight. So here's my full strength standard sheet, which you can screenshot and use to set up some realistic strength goals for yourself. Just remember to take it slow and focus on creating a plan that'll get you one level up from where you're at now, one level at a time. And before we go, a few quick details about my new program launch. So I decided I'm going to leave it at 20% off for one more week. So up until November 14th, you can get it for $39.99, and then it'll go up to full price from there. The program comes with a 120-page ebook, a full Excel spreadsheet for tracking your progress, and a technique handbook, as well as video demos illustrating every exercise in the program, including a bunch of new ones like Larson presses, Meadows rows, multi-height chest movements, and some fun new bicep and forearm variations, and plenty more. Also, to be clear, Phase 2 is an entirely new program that's intended to build on Phase 1. So if you haven't run Phase 1 yet, I'd recommend running that one first. And they're both on sale right now. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can do so at jeffnippard.com. And if you're still in your first year or two of training, I definitely recommend running my fundamentals program instead. All right, that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all here in the next one.